Hello, this is Hunter McDermott with another episode of Guitar Blog. It is January 6th, 2021. Happy New Year. Let's see. So, let's talk some various musical things. I got all the way through the Galbraith comping book, meaning I learned each tune and was able to play it at at least the minimum suggested tempo, if not faster, with like 90% accuracy. So I don't hold myself to 100% ever, as you well know. And so that feels pretty good. I wasn't really shooting to get that done at any particular time. I started back in July, I think, or June, and then I moved and did a bunch of stuff and was kind of just trying to focus on the tunes when I had time to practice, and it kind of got close toward the end of the year, and I was like, well, I could probably finish this by the end of the year. So I made that a goal toward the middle of December, and managed to do it without feeling too rushed. Though I did get the last one done kind of at the very end of the year, at the very last moment. But anyway, that's cool. And I feel good about having gone through all that stuff finally, and I feel like I learned a lot of stuff. I'm not totally sure what it is I learned, so my goal next for this channel is to just do an episode for each tune, I think, maybe, and kind of go through, show the video that I recorded already of the performance, and so Mark from jazzguitarlessons.net has already done this. He did this a couple of years ago, I think. And his series was really invaluable to me because I would learn the tune and then watch him play it before I recorded it. And then he goes through and talks about some spots that need to be a little different because there are typos or suggestions on how to play them, or in certain cases I just read it wrong, and so I was learning it incorrectly. So having that example to return to, or to compare with, and get it right was really, really useful. So I didn't want to just do that because he knows the book better than I do. He's been working with it for a long time. But I thought what would be cool to do that's a little bit different is to try to outline the different things that the book teaches you. You learn a lot through just doing. There's not really any text instruction in the book. So I kind of just wanted to enumerate the various techniques that permeate the whole book, things that he returns to over and over again, and then probably for each tune, maybe not for each tune, I don't know, it'll depend on if each tune is interesting enough to do, but for every time there's something interesting that I think I grabbed or would like to grab out of this book, I think I'll just talk about that. So not talking about how to play the tune so much, but just showing the tune and saying, here are the cool things about this tune that I think you should take out of this example and work on and add to your playing in a conscious way. And I've already started to do a little bit of that in my own playing. So that's been cool. Feel good and accomplished at the end of the year having gone through that stuff. And so what I thought I would do this year is something that is long, long overdue, which is I need to build a repertoire. So I'm definitely one of those guitar players that practices a lot, but can't play that many songs. So it's just not something that's really been my focus, at least for the last few years. There was a period of time where that was all guitar playing was for me, was learning songs and playing songs, as most people do when they get interested in learning how to play. And then I got into writing my own songs, and then it got to where I didn't remember all the tunes that I learned quite as much because I was focused on writing my own. And then I got into jazz and just into studying guitar more deeply, as I put it, and I got sucked definitely down the rabbit hole of technique and theory and stuff like that. It's really easy to spend a lot of time going through scale exercises and chord exercises and stuff, and that's not really ever a waste of time. Like, you're always going to get something out of building your technique, but at the end of the day, can you play songs? And like, the answer for me is not really. I could probably learn a tune maybe a little bit more quickly because of the technique stuff that I put in, but it's got to be about knowing the tune, or at least knowing it pretty well. I never want to be caught in a situation where somebody's like, oh, you play guitar? I happen to have a guitar. Why don't you play us a song? I'm always like, oh, no, because I don't have any songs ready. Like, if I were to sit down, I don't know what I would do. And I need to have a pool of tunes that I can draw from at any given time. So that's my goal for the year. I have set the goal to just a song a month. And I'm going to be working on some theory and some technique, vocabulary stuff as well. But I'm hoping that having a tune as the context for the whole month, or for all that material, will be useful. So, for example, this month I've chosen There Will Never Be Another You, which is kind of an easier choice for me because it's a song that I have spent time with before. So I thought that would be a safe way to start the new year. I'm not learning something completely new, so I can kind of get off to a running start and then try maybe some trickier things or less familiar things as the year goes on. I don't exactly know which one I was going to do each month. I was thinking like, I'll map it out, but my tastes change and things happen, so I'm just going to pick the one, start the month, and then I'll pick one when the next month starts before I'm not going to try to plan it out and hold myself to that. Because I think that the theory and technique stuff will kind of maybe guide me in certain directions. Like, what are some tunes that I could learn that would allow me to work on the stuff that I'm working on while also learning a tune? So that might be cool. So There Will Never Be Another You is the one I'm doing, and I'm already starting to take some of the Galbraith stuff and put it into practice, which is really nice. So outside of that, I have been working on I got some materials by Ronnie Ben-Hur, who is one of many disciples of Barry Harris, the great jazz educator. And Ronnie is a guitar player specifically, Barry is a piano player. So he's just kind of taken a lot of the stuff that he learned from Barry and presented it specifically for the guitar. I've got a book and a DVD of material. One is about harmony and chords, and one is about like bebop language and single note playing. So it seems to cover everything in theory. So that kind of stuff. So far, the chord stuff, Barry Harris is all about the sixth chord. So I think one of the first exercises in the chord stuff is just learning six chords, basically. Learning different inversions of these drop two voicings. So doing something like this. That kind of thing. And then taking it through all 12 keys. So again, that's like already I can see how that's not like hugely useful to me. But I'm hearing it, and it's the first step, so I'm just going to trust it for a little while and see. I don't see myself playing these types of chords. However, this chord was in a Barry Galbraith study, so there you go. This one I do use a lot. This one I use a lot, and you'll see those today. But anyway, so I think with everything, there's going to be some pieces of this that are really useful and build on stuff that I already kind of know. Like, oh, I'm seeing it again, and that's just making it that much more ingrained. And then there will be some new stuff, some of which I'll like, some of which I won't like, and I'll just kind of pick and choose from there. And then from the single note playing stuff, Barry Harris has these rules for adding chromatic notes to scales. So he doesn't talk about like the bebop scale as like a single thing. It's more just like adding chromaticism to major scales or to dominant scales or whatever. So the first one is like a descending major scale, which is 7 notes. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excluding that first root, there would be a 7-note scale. So adding a half step between 5 and 6, and making it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, kind of making it line up better. So otherwise I'm ending on the and. So we're thinking like 4/4, I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and he just adds a note to kind of make it land on the 1 instead of on the and. Land on the strong beat instead of the offbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That kind of thing. So that's cool, and he's taking it through all the different permutations. Something like that, I can't remember. But anyway, I've been starting to work through that stuff, and I haven't yet figured out exactly how you apply that stuff. I'm assuming that's just a way to get it partly into your ears, and then kind of seeing what notes are available to you, and kind of letting your ear do a lot of the work. I think our ears do most of the work when we're learning stuff. I think we want to analyze and understand and do things deliberately a lot of the time when we're improvising or playing. But more often than not, the best stuff comes sort of subconsciously. You're just playing and then it pops out. You're like, oh wow, I really put in a lot of time on this stuff and I wasn't sure exactly how to use it, but there it is. I heard an opportunity to play something and I had worked on the technique enough to be able to execute it. And that's kind of the best you can hope for. I think that's kind of how the name of the game. So working on those two things. And then finally, going back to Mark from jazzguitarlessons.net, he has a nice article talking about basically how to learn standards, how to learn tunes. And I like his approach because it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the possibilities of how to play something. So he just says, learn the melody, learn it on the first and second strings. You don't have to, but if you do, that'll make it a little bit easier to work out like a chord melody in the future. Again, this is not like this is the only way you can do it or the best way, it's just a way. And I think a lot of the time we don't need the best or the most comprehensive. What we need is something. And we need somebody to say, just do this. And don't worry about all the different other ways you can do it. Just try this and just get good at this. As otherwise you end up feeling overwhelmed or spending all your time doing stuff, and at the end of the day, again, you can't play songs. So learning the melody on the top two strings, and then arranging basically a comp pattern. I'll show more of that in a minute. And just one way. Don't worry too much about like I need to be able to come up with a comping pattern for every time I play through it. Just learn it one way for now, and then be able to improvise over it. So if there are chords in the tune that are that you wouldn't know what to do to play over top of that harmony, then take some time to figure that out, whether that's learning a new scale, practicing an arpeggio, learning a lick, whatever. Just be confident that at least theoretically you have the tools to play over all of the chords in the tune. So then he says, listen a lot to versions of the tune so you can internalize it. That's actually step one. And then the 4 chorus exercises, he calls it. So play the melody, comp, play a solo over the head, and then play the melody out. If you can do that, then that kind of counts as like maintenance. So when you know a song, if you can do that, and if you are just trying to keep a song fresh and maintain it in your repertoire, you don't have to play. That's the kind of a minimum unit that you should be able to do and have memorized at any given time, and that's pretty reasonable to me. Like that seems like it takes something sort of daunting, like learning and being creative on a tune and thinking of like, well, I got to learn it in all 12 keys, and I should be able to comp completely spontaneously and all this kind of stuff. It's like that'll come, I think. But for maintenance purposes, for purposes of going to a jam, for playing with others or whatever, you just need to be able to play it. And so if you can do that, that's a good like first step to say, I know this tune. I could know it better. I could know it in different keys. I could, comp more creatively or solo better or whatever that means to you. But but you need to know it. And so that's kind of my goal with each of these tunes this year, is I just want to get to where I can know and memorize the tune, and be able to play it for somebody, for myself. And then all the other stuff will be just constantly returning to these tunes and making them better, or learning new techniques and being able to apply them to the tunes that I've learned. That's the goal. So I thought I'd do a little bit of playing today. I will show you so There Will Never Be Another You. I've got the melody. I wouldn't say I have it down yet. And I've worked through a comping arrangement that I like, that I'll talk through just a little bit. That's kind of a blend of new stuff for me and old stuff. All right, so let's start with the chords. So right off the bat, I wanted to use stuff that I got from Barry Galbraith, the comping book. So the first chord is E flat, major 7. So I play an E flat 6. Is that right? Six, 9? Yeah. So we got the 6 in there, and the 9. Right to, since it goes for 2 measures, dropping the 9 down to the root. So that's another 6 chord, which is just different than, playing the kind of standard major 7. It's a good sound, it's a different sound. So with the 9, without the 9. And then we also, by doing that, we are able to play over 2 measures instead of 1. So we're doing 2 different things. We're kind of sustaining a chord for a longer period of time without it sounding static. And then we also have some movement happening. This is probably the biggest thing I picked up from the Galbraith stuff, is trying to keep voices in your chords moving around for interest. And then we have a D minor 7 flat 5. One of our drop 2 inversions. To an A flat 7. Actually, let me bring up the chords so I don't mess this up. To an A flat G7 rather. But rather than doing a G7, I do a G7 flat 9. Taking that G and raising it up a half step. And now I've got a diminished chord, so I can take this, do this kind of stuff that I was showing off in the last episode, sort of Barry Heresy, Barry Galbraithy. Alright, so that's just the first 4 bars. So we have this. So I like that. We got. So there's kind of like little melody happening that's connecting all the chords. Then we have a C minor 7, and then nice little riff there. So we're going from C minor 7 to B minor 7, just down a whole step. So anything I can do on one chord, I can do on the other one. So I just make it the minor 7 to minor 9, and then go from minor 9 to vanilla minor 7 for the next one. Alright, and then E flat 7, but doing again instead of E flat 7. Let's see, is that even right? What do I got here? Yeah, doing a minor 9 chord for E flat. Not minor 9, flat 9, 7 flat 9. And then doing another little 3 fret jump because it's a diminished chord. So, and then now we have that kind of. All right, now we are at the A flat major 7. I am adding a, let's see, what have we got? A 6 on this one. So we got the 6 on the bottom. What would that be? Is that a 6/9 as well? That's the 9, 6 and 9 and 5 and the root. Yeah, so a 6/9 as well. D flat 9 with a flat 9. Vanilla E flat 7. And then C minor 7. So kind of just kind of getting to the end of the instrument and wanting to add some more interest. One thing that Galbraith does a lot is taking a drop 2 chord and playing all of its inversions, all or some of its inversions. So we have both C minor 7 chords, and then so I like that little melody there. Another little transition, so we have F7 to F minor 7. So I do kind of a suspension to the major 7, or to the dominant 7, to the minor 7, that's a nice little chromatic kind of thing. Again, just great ways to connect chords, any way you can do it. And I'm kind of debating on this part, so here's a voicing I got from Galbraith for sure. Another one I got, which is this B13, I believe. No, B9? Yeah. With the G. Would also be a 13, so yeah, 13 with a 9 in there as well. If you can imagine the root on the bottom, which is really nice. So, and then I do this, like a sharp 5 to a major 9, E flat major 9. So now we're kind of to the, sort of back to the beginning. It does some stuff toward the end that's a little bit different, but back to the E flat chord. So, we have trying to keep that chromaticism going as far as possible. Alright, and another case where we have 2 measures of 1 chord. So this I just ripped straight from the Galbraith study for Out of Nowhere. So a major 9, then a 6, then a major 7, then a 6 again, to the 9. So it's a great way to keep a static chord sounding not static. I need to practice it. And then, so I go from the F down, back up to the F, but when I get back up to the F, I have transitions to the next chord, which is a minor 7 flat 5, D minor 7 flat 5. So, and then minor 7 flat 5 to G7 flat 9, which is a diminished chord. So what do we do? I just like that. It's kind of, yeah, it's nice. Anyway, take that diminished chord and move it. And then making a conscious choice, I'm name dropping a lot in this one. I also watch videos by a guy named Christian Miller. He makes really great jazz videos. And one thing I got from one of his videos was, don't be afraid to go up. So the guitar, melodies on the guitar and working on playing harmony tends to, or not on the guitar even necessarily, but just on instruments anyway, just kind of like there's a sense of gravity in that everything kind of wants to go down. Like melodies, harmony are pointing you down. You know, that kind of stuff. Or he gives the example of all the things you are. So there's this melody that's constantly going down, and that's fine, but it's just very common. So rather than thinking that you always have to like jump up and then work your way down, jump up, work your way down, maybe you can work your way up too. So I made a conscious choice while working on this comping stuff to go up. So I go, and then rather than go like that, maybe, which might be my inclination. Like in my head, I hear ba ba ba. But I wanted to do something different, so I go ba 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 ba. So just trying to do something a little bit different than you might otherwise do, making a conscious decision to do that. But then we go back down right away. So. Now I think on a previous episode, I don't know which one, I've done this tune before, and this is I decided again in the interest of hitting the ground running and not trying to do too much new stuff all right here at the beginning of the year, I decided to just keep the latter half of a comping pattern that I had already worked out for this tune. So after this, it's basically all stuff that I've done before. So we've now shifted from the first 4 strings to the middle 4 strings, and it's mostly drop 2s and it's mostly vanilla. And I may change that as the month goes on, but I kind of just wanted to get this out of the way so I could focus on some other stuff. So we take the same shape, C minor 7, go down a whole step, but connect it with a little bit of chromaticism. Now that's something that I had already done just because I thought it sounded good, but that's something that is very prevalent in the Barry Galbraith stuff as well, trying to chromatically approach chords. E flat 7, just vanilla. A flat major 7. Let's see, am I right? Let's see, E flat 7, yeah. A flat major 7, D flat 9, with a sharp 9, or with a flat 9. No. Let's see, what do we got here? What was my thinking there? I was always doing this. That's actually the flat 9. I guess it's just a 9 chord. Yeah, so that's a 9 chord. If you put the bass in there. Now this is a voicing that I never see in the book, but it exists, and I don't dislike it in certain cases. And it's a major 7 chord with the 7 on the bottom, and that causes that sound to happen. So if we were to play it to invert it, where the root, instead of being on the top, the root was on the bottom, and the 7 was on the top, and the 2 middle voices were the same, it sounds nice. There's something about having that interval's kind of pretty, root and then the 7. If you flip it, it doesn't sound quite as pretty. But it's sort of dissonant. It kind of takes a chord that you wouldn't think is dissonant. You think is like, oh, it's ethereal and pretty and nice, and makes it sort of like challenging sound, and I like that. Not for a long time. Like, let's see. Same kind of voice on the first, or what would that be? Anyway, playing them on all different string sets, but that is, I think, okay in this case. I like the way it sounds. And the reason why I do it is because we have again, just trying to keep the melody happening. In this case, it's on the top note. But then we just break from everything, because then we get this series of 2/5s. Now, I'd like to find a cooler way to do this, but I just do a bunch of 2/5s using basically the same shape. So we jump up A minor to D, and then yeah, so and then at the end, if you're going to be going back, I just do a vanilla major 7, and then I go to a B flat 7 with a sharp 5, because then you can take it down. So, and then again, you got chromatic harmony or melodies going on there as well. So let's see if we can put it all together. That's the part I need to work on. Yeah, that kind of thing. All right, and then we got the melody. So this was a fun little thing, trying to, I know the tune from here, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just trying to do things that are a little bit different. So rather than think purely in positions, which is definitely something I want to do, the suggestion to try to play it on the top 2 strings for the most part is interesting, because it means you you have to move up and down a lot more, depending on the melody. So in this case, I need this low B flat, so I just start on the 3rd string, but then I immediately go up to the 2nd string. And then trying to throw little chords in there, because the song kind of lends itself to filling in the gaps. All right, and then soloing. So let's finish the video. I don't even know how long it's been. I'm gonna try to lay down a track, a loop of the chords, and then I'll play the melody. I won't do technically the 4-course exercise. Actually, you know what? Okay, I'm not gonna do the loop. I'm gonna do the 4-course exercise in its purest form. I'm gonna play the melody, play the chords, solo with unaccompanied, and then play the melody out, and then we're gonna call it. So, all right, here we go. And I'll just keep time on my own. I won't play with the metronome. And I might take it a little slower because I wanted to get it right, somewhat right. I will make mistakes, so be prepared. Here we go. Oh man, okay, that fell apart. So let's just do the solo. Okay, here we go. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to stop there before I embarrass myself further. Anyway, I need to work on the soloing next, so I have been focusing on the other two parts and trying to refresh my memory. So anyway, we will return to this. I think it'll be cool to come back maybe toward the end of the month or the beginning of next month and see how I've gotten on in the meantime, and see if I'm able to take some of this Barry Harris stuff and introduce it into my playing. But the Galbraith stuff is getting in there and taking this sort of methodical approach to coming up with your own way of playing a tune, at least as a start, I think has been really great. And it's fun, and I'll continue to do it. So anyway, that's it for this week, this episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.